Is this with this new album that you started describing what you wanted in that way?
It's happened more with Build a Rocket Boys, but it started on Seldom Seen Kid. And once you realise that it's just a place to start from, and that things naturally move and change and happy accidents happen, there's less compunction about, you know, not fessing up when you're stealing.
Yeah, I mean, there's things that we kind of like listen to, like we all listened to the Velvet Underground together quite a bit, didn't we? Because there was just, and there's nothing on the album that you could pinpoint and say, oh God, yeah, that's like that, because it isn't, because it's us doing something our way, but you know, having just like a mood or a feel in mind, you know, that was on quite a bit, the Velvet Underground, wasn't it?
In 2009, you performed with the Hallé Orchestra and choir. The choir is on the new album as well. What did playing with that orchestra and choir make loose into, do you think?
I think it was the biggest compliment we've ever had that we were asked to play with the Hallé Orchestra. And they chose Joe Dudell, who's a local boy. He grew up in Salford. And he has a history of indie. He was in a band called the Pullovers, is that right?
I can't remember.
They were a Factory 2 signing. And at the same time, he's a celebrated contemporary classical composer. And he knew all our records. And he actually chose the songs he wanted to orchestrate. We gave him free rein. And he did some great jobs. And to hear your melodies and to hear your rhythms and your songs being used by a world-class orchestra, you know, that the city's famous for, was amazing. And we broadcast the performance from inside the Bridgewater Hall, which is a state-of-the-art classical venue, the home of the Hallé, in fact. We broadcast it live to an outdoor arena in the city, and it was a beautiful summer's evening. And we finished the whole performance with the town hall bells getting involved playing one of our songs. So it couldn't have gone better. It was an amazing feeling. And we invited the Hallé Youth Choir to come and sing with us. And Greg Batslier, who directs the choir, is such a positive young man. He's so full of energy. And I was warming up with the choir before we did our performances and all this kind of thing. There was a real great atmosphere. So we invited them to come and sing on this album. And they were only with us for one day, but there was 55 of them. And because a lot of the subject matter of the record is youth, it made sense to have younger voices. They're literally the age that I'm writing the lyrics about on this record. So, because we considered a male voice choir, didn't we? But we went with the kids.
Did it also give you new insights in your own music or music in general, working with more classical focused groups?
Well, we've worked with two orchestras now. We worked with the BBC Concert Orchestra as well. We did a performance of the Seldom Seen Kid in its entirety at Abbey Road. And what it taught us was not to be afraid of stepping outside of your usual band restraints. Because when you work with an orchestra, you don't work with 30 or 40 people. You work with one person. And it makes it less daunting. You know, it's something that more people should try. And it's important when you do that as well, not to just throw strings at everything, or so it ends up sounding like, I don't know, XTC or something. It ends up sounding like Overblown or Meatloaf or some shit. and like, it's important to use them tastefully and to get advice from somebody who knows what tasteful is in a classical sense. So we don't see it in any way as aggrandising to us. We don't consider ourselves more artistic because we've used an orchestra. It's just a very humbling thing to be a part of, you know.
Yeah, these guys are just amazing, the best at what they do, and it was quite daunting initially, kind of being sat with these people that are far better than you are. Yeah. It was incredible, but just brilliant. I mean, when we did when we worked with the BBC Concert Orchestra at Abbey Road, I remember looking over at guys so many times and we were just laughing our heads off because we couldn't believe what they brought to our songs. What, you know, it was just amazing.
It was so powerful, wasn't it?
Grounds for Divorce just turned into like a Bond theme, and we were just like, wow, this is brilliant. You know, it's such a amazing opportunity.
Why is it such a compliment to work with an orchestra?
I think it's something to do with the heritage of classical music, to do with how slowly it changes, and how, isn't it a wonderful thing that many people can work together? It's just, I think a lot of what we do, a lot of what we write about is to do with people coming together, and you see the kind of organisation that's involved in the skill of the individual musicians just to play together in time and in tune.
That's it, it's a compliment that they even considered us, really.
Yeah, because
it felt pretty huge.
You don't go into classical music for money. It's a real passionate thing, and we don't write classical music. So for them to even consider stooping down and playing our stuff, it was just very humbling.